sick as we speak at the Crowley compound in the Irish Riviera, the Rockaways. They are stunned, starting with Joe Crowley, the patriarch, the congressman of Queens, also the head of the corrupt Queens Democratic Party machine, most corrupt in the nation, and his cousin, Elizabeth Crowley, corrupt right down to the marrow of her bone because it's in their DNA, was a city councilwoman who had served 2 terms. And because of the way Bloomberg manipulated the term limits rule, she was given access to a 3rd term. And then there was a man who's been busting his shoes through the streets in Middle Village, in Woodhaven, and Ridgewood, and Glendale, and Maspeth for years, who stood up and said, enough is enough. And remember, he made that last stand, that Custer's last stand at the Maspeth Hotel when Comrade de Blasio wanted to force those homeless people in, and it was Bob Holden and the Juniper Park Civic Association and their many allies who stood them off. And that's when Rob Holden went on that mission to rescue the city councilman's seat from Elizabeth Holtzman. And last night, it's rare to see an incumbent lose, but the insurgent won. And we welcome him once again to the airwaves here in the Drive Home at 5. Thanks for joining us, Robert.
Hey, Curtis. Nice to be back. Celebrating here.
Now, how many votes did you actually win by when all was said and done?
Believe it or not, out of 20,000 cast, over 20,000, I won by 133. They're still counting absentee ballots, but we'll see. It looks very, very good. And I must say, the thing that put me over the top was your poster in Woodhaven with me on it. That was all over Woodhaven, Jamaica Avenue. I want to thank you, Curtis, so much for that one.
Well, Robert, to be honest with you, I had made that recommendation to 6 of our Reform Party candidates. That's one of the lines you ran on, including the Republican line, the conservative line, and you originally ran in the Democratic primary against Crowley and lost to her. I had made that suggestion to 6 of our candidates, and they yesed me to death. You were the only one who followed through. And guess who was the only one to win? You!
Thanks to you.
Well, but I have to applaud you because I studied many campaigns from Buffalo to Brooklyn trying to help our candidates. And analytically, you and your followers, you knew house to house, block to block, apartment building to apartment building, what you had to do in the district to win. And you engineered it through hard work, good old-fashioned retail politics. And you were going door to door, neighborhood to neighborhood.
Well, I did it as a kind of a civic leader. I didn't go around door to door as somebody say, vote for me. I didn't do that. I went door to door, especially in Woodhaven, and said, there's a lot of problems on your block. I said, look outside. You have this car that's been here. It's abandoned. And they say, oh, yeah, that car's been there 6 months. And I said, well, you also have all these potholes. You have a rattling manhole cover. You have weeds all over the place. And the people actually were so appreciative that somebody cared to help them. For instance, found out there was prostitution going on around 78th, at a bus stop at 78th Street and Atlantic Avenue. And the cops knew about it. And the people on the block were complaining. They said, this is going on 6 months. And even some of the homeowners, their wives, were being, kind of like the Johns were coming up to them in the street and propositioning them. And it's out of control. And I said, what's going on here? And I cared. So I was going on the blocks as a civic leader, not as a politician. And I think that kind of worked.
Now, as they count the absentee ballots, that in the back of everyone's mind, Rob, because you've been at this for many years, you've seen many campaigns, that the Crowley Democratic counting machine, most corrupt in the nation, is going to try to control that process. What can you do to prevent them from stealing the election from you?
Well, I got a very, very good attorney, Marty Khanna. He's very good, the top attorney. And also, we have the lead. I have a good lead. The absentee ballots are generally mirror the election, which is 50-50. And we still have an outstanding polling place that was one machine wasn't working, and I won that school almost more than 2-1. So it looks good. I mean, it looks very, very good. Everybody's telling me it's in. So we'll withstand the onslaught. Elizabeth Crowley ran a dirty campaign, filled with personal attacks. She stalked me and my campaign workers. Her workers sexually harassed some women volunteers in my campaign. And she even Crowley herself physically pushed a volunteer into a wall at the Forest Park Co-ops. We have a video of that, and you could see it on our Facebook page, Holden for City Council. And it got like I think it's at this point up to 27,000 views. So, she's a piece of work. I'm telling you, Elizabeth Crowley, and she ran such a terrible negative campaign against me. So she got what she deserved.
For sure. And Robert Holden, you certainly set the template when people want to know how you run for office as a first-time candidate against such a strong insurgent, actually a strong incumbent with a huge corrupt Democratic machine behind her like Joe Crowley's. You got to follow in the footsteps of Rob Holden. And just like he taught so many communities how to block the shelters from being brought into hotel, no-tel, motel inns throughout the city, I'm sure, Robert, you would definitely give your advice to future candidates so they don't get filled with hopelessness and despair, and they don't think that an incumbent can't be beat by an insurgent, because Robert Holden proved that yesterday against the thugs of Joe Crowley's Queens County Democratic machine.